The sound of keyboards clacking filled the open plan office of Silvercore Marketing. It was Monday morning, the kind that dragged souls like heavy chains. Among the rows of bright computer screens sat Ava Thompson, a quiet woman in her early 30s with calm brown eyes and smooth dark skin. She always dressed neatly, soft beige blouses, minimal jewelry, and that peaceful, patient look that made her seem almost invisible to everyone else. Invisible, except to Ryan Carter, the man who made it his daily mission to remind her that she didn't belong. Ryan was the kind of coworker who laughed too loud, insulted too easily, and always looked for someone weaker to step on. Blonde hair slicked back, gym muscles bulging under a tight shirt, and an ego inflated beyond the size of the office itself. He was popular with the fake crowd, the ones who laughed at cruel jokes just to stay safe. And lately, his favorite jokes were about Ava. It started small. Comments about her hair, her accent, the way she stayed quiet during meetings. "You're too soft-spoken, Ava." He'd smirk, loud enough for others to hear. "You sure you're cut out for corporate life? You don't sound like you're from here." She ignored it. She always did. Her mother had taught her that silence was strength, that reacting only fed bullies. So she smiled politely and kept working. But Ryan was a man who didn't like being ignored. Each time she refused to rise to his bait, he pushed harder. He began mocking her in team calls, twisting her words into jokes. When she presented a report, he interrupted with fake yawns. When she passed him in the hallway, he'd whisper racial slurs under his breath, ones that made her stomach twist but her eyes stay firm. Ava didn't fight back. Not yet. She needed the job, and she needed peace. But everyone has a limit. One Friday, their manager announced a new client pitch, an important one. Ava had spent days preparing, pouring her heart into it. She'd stayed late, skipped lunches, and rehearsed every line. This was her chance to finally prove her worth. But when she walked into the conference room that morning, slides ready, coffee shaking in her hand, Ryan leaned back in his chair with a grin that sent chills down her spine. As she began to present, he cut in. Sorry, I can't understand her accent," he said loudly, pretending to look confused. A few people chuckled. "Can you slow down, Ava? Or maybe just let someone else talk?" The room went silent. The manager shifted awkwardly, but said nothing. Ava froze. For a moment, her throat tightened and she couldn't breathe. Then, slowly, she continued. Her voice trembled but didn't break. "As I was saying, the strategy." Ryan interrupted again. "Strategy? Or did you mean strategy?" He mimicked her softly, twisting her pronunciation. The laughter this time was louder. Ava stood there, her cheeks burning, her heart pounding. She finished the presentation somehow, staring at her slides to avoid their eyes. When she sat down, Ryan leaned toward her and whispered, "Don't take it personal. We just like to have fun here." That night, Ava walked home in the rain. The city lights blurred through tears she wouldn't let fall. Her reflection in the shop windows looked small, tired, defeated. But deep down, something was changing, something old and powerful she had buried years ago. Because before Ava was a quiet office worker, she had been something else. A fighter. Her father had trained her since she was 10, back when they lived in a small town where she was the only black girl in school. He had taught her that true strength didn't mean throwing punches. It meant knowing when not to. But he had also said something she never forgot. Even peace has limits, baby girl. When someone crosses it, you finish it. She hadn't practiced in years. But that weekend, for the first time in a long while, she unrolled her old gym bag. The smell of leather gloves and sweat hit her like memory. She tightened her hands into fists and shadowboxed in her small living room, slow at first, then faster. Her body remembered. The footwork, the balance, the power. Every jab was a release, every kick a spark of life. Monday came again, and so did Ryan. But this time, something in her eyes made him hesitate. "You look different today," he said, smirking. "Did you finally decide to fight back?" She smiled faintly. "Maybe," he laughed. "Yeah, right." That afternoon, the team went to the company gym. A habit Ryan had turned into a macho ritual. Ava rarely joined, but today she did. As soon as she walked in, a few people raised eyebrows. Ryan grinned. Well, the office mouse decided to play with the lions. He was already warming up by the punching bag, throwing sloppy punches for show. "Come on, Ava," he called out. "Let's see what you got. Don't worry, I'll go easy." She hesitated. "I'm not here to fight." "Oh, come on, unless you're scared." The crowd that had gathered laughed. Phones came out. Someone shouted, "Yeah, Ryan, don't hurt her too bad." Ava sighed. "You really want this?" He stepped closer, towering over her. "Yeah, you can't keep hiding behind that fake smile forever." She looked him in the eye, calm, steady, deadly quiet. "All right then." He threw the first shove, hard enough to make her stumble back. "See, that's what I thought," he sneered. Then he pushed again and again, until she finally lifted her eyes, and the look in them made the laughter fade. Her stance shifted, shoulders squared, feet angled, the air in the gym changed. Ryan noticed too late. "Yo, you really gonna fight me?" he said, half laughing. Ava didn't answer. She just moved. Her first step was lightning, a low pivot, a sharp twist of her hips, and then crack, her palm struck his jaw with a snap that echoed off the walls. Ryan staggered back, shocked. He tried to swing, wild and angry, but she slipped under it and landed a spinning kick to his ribs. The sound made everyone flinch. He gasped, doubling over. The crowd went silent. Ava's face didn't change. She grabbed his arm, twisted it, and swept his leg, all in one fluid motion. He hit the mat hard, groaning. 30 seconds. That's all it took. She stepped back, breathing calmly. "You done?" Ryan couldn't answer. His pride was broken long before his body was. The phones that had been recording caught everything. Within hours, the video spread through the office like wildfire. The woman he called weak, foreign, and soft had dropped him like a sack of sand. And for the first time, everyone saw her not as invisible, but unstoppable. That night, Ava walked home again. But this time, she wasn't crying. She felt lighter, stronger, not because she had hurt him, but because she had finally reclaimed herself. And when the next morning came, Ryan avoided her eyes completely. The office that once echoed with his laughter was now filled with a new kind of silence. Respect. Ava didn't gloat. She didn't brag. She just did her work, peaceful as ever. But everyone who saw her now knew one truth: never underestimate the quiet ones. Because quiet doesn't mean weak, it means controlled. And control is power.